Call the Village of Bonduel Committee of the Whole meeting to order on Wednesday, April 26, 2023 at 6 p.m. Statement regarding the meeting notice. The agenda for the meeting notice was sent to the Shawnee Leader and Results Broadcasting. Copies of the agenda were also posted at the Village Hall, Bonduel State Bank, and Bonduel Library. Can I have approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda and deviate as necessary.
I'll second.
Motion by Hottenstein, second by Kelly to approve the agenda and deviate as necessary. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the March 22nd, 2023 minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as given.
I'll second it.
Motion by Kelly, second by Hottenstein to approve the March 22nd, 2023 minutes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Acknowledgement of citizenship open forum. We have Tammy Kroll here and we have Jen Folk helping out with our audio. Reports. Fire chief report. Not here. Please, Chief Eric Kraus.
We did the medication collection last Saturday. Over 20 pounds of medications were collected. This weekend we have prom coming up. We'll have an officer there. Been saddled with background investigations of all sorts for alcohol licensing. And then the fire department requested I conduct background investigations of everybody there as well. Our squad 1, which is the Crown Victoria, is going into the shop for repairs. Its air conditioning system is not working. We're going to start simple with the recharging, see if it works, and we're going to go from there to see what's going on with that. And then I have an officer that's going on sick leave in June and probably will be out till February.
I thought the Crown was supposed to be a backup vehicle, that we were just keeping that as for like extensive use, like 4th of July and stuff like that.
We are putting more miles on the Crown Victoria than our other cars right now because that's our next one that we're getting rid of. So we're trying to put miles on that and save miles on the other cars. So when Jim Hoffman is working, that's the car he prefers to use. He's more comfortable in that car, so he's allowed to use that. And Justin Hoffman likes to use that car as well. The rest of us like the Explorer. Jim says it's like a spaceship, so he doesn't like driving it. There's too many buttons.
Much money are we going to put in?
We're starting with a recharge, and I guess we're going from there. But like I said, you're going to be using that car during the corn rolls, 4th of July. And not having an air conditioner is not really feasible for those times. So, like I said, we're starting small, and we're going to see where the road leads us. So.
That's it. Any other questions for him?
Nope.
Clerk and treasurer's report.
Liquor licenses are starting to come back. Like Eric said, he's been doing the background checks. Those are all due in by, I think next week, end of this week. The PSC report draft is, I'm reviewing that right now. There is some questions on it. That has to be filed with the state on Monday. So I have talked to CLA and we are going to get Jesse to look at a couple things I have questions on Monday morning when he gets back. And we will get that filed first thing on Monday then. The Whitney Woods, we have started all the paperwork on that and are getting all that stuff ready to be filed and the summons served on everything. So there's a bunch of stuff that needs to get done with that. So we're working on that. The attorney service update has happened. I have notified Bill of the transition. Haven't heard anything. Told him what we have left open with him. Haven't heard anything on that either. Have been in contact with Ashley, and she's already kind of on board with a couple of things that have transpired in the last week and a half or so. Border review and open book are scheduled. Those will be May 31st will be the open book, and then the border review will be June 8th. The other thing I just wanted to note is that at our last board meeting, we did pass a resolution to approve fire hose and ladder testing. At our next board meeting, we will be doing a rescind on that. I probably screwed up on that, in that it should have been a fire commission decision. At the time, we hadn't had a fire commission meeting. We were docked by the state during the inspection, and we were told that it had to be done before end of the year. Being that it was a purchase over $2,500, I had told Kevin that it needed to go through board for approval since our purchasing capacity as department heads is $2,500. Told him we would have to pass it by resolution, because that's normally what we would do. After the fact and thinking about it a little bit more, that really should be a decision made by the fire commission. So we will rescind it at the next meeting and push that to the fire commission to make that decision on the hose testing and ladder testing and how they want to take care of that. So I do have procedures on how to do that, but I just want to let you guys know that I probably told them the wrong thing, but because fire commission hadn't met for several months and it's kind of in a disarray, I guess, because it was a state mandate thing, I was kind of like, well, yeah, let's get it done and didn't think it through. So like I said, that was probably my fault in giving the wrong direction there, but we can rescind it. It's not a big deal, so we'll just redo it. So just wanted to let you know that. So, all of that.
Director of Municipal Ops is on file. New business, G1, discussion of possible recommendation on municipal fee schedule changes.
This is coming from me. We have our municipal fee schedules. There's a few things on here that we haven't updated this since, I think like 2020. The RV parking permit that's on here, that has not been in our ordinance for about a year and a half. I think we updated all that when we did the junk ordinance about a year and a half, 2 years ago. So that actually needs to be removed. And then our miscellaneous services, we needed to update our copies. So what I would like to see is I talked to the city of Shawano and to some other municipalities as to how they charge for different things. They are charging for color or for regular copies 35 cents a page. We were at 25 cents a page. Color copies, we're still at $1 a page. That's pretty standard of what people are charging. And we had on here CD-ROM. CD-ROM is a pretty dated technology. Most places do a digital file. That's easier than doing a thumb drive, CD-ROM, or anything, whatever the newest technology would be, if it's a thumb drive or whatever comes down the pipe later as a digital file. They are charging $20 for that digital file.
We charge 50 for time.
Do you? Well, I talked to the city of Shawano and they're charging 20. So I figured 20 is probably good for right now. We can buy some digital or buy some thumb drives. They're pretty cheap right now. So I'm thinking $20 is pretty good. And we're at $1 per CD.
So if you notice an increase in them. then we
Right.
might have
So
to
I
look at
think
it.
we'll just watch for some to go on sale and just buy a bunch. The other thing is faxes. I'm thinking we'd be similar to what Eric is on police reports, and that's kind of what Shawano was. I think they were like $2 for up to 8 pages. So I just thought we would do similar to what Eric does for the police reports.
And that's one thing I want to talk to you about is maybe just go to a $5 for a police report and leave
Okay.
it just at that.
Okay.
So we're not counting pages and stuff,
Okay.
it's just a
Instead
flat
of like
fee.
So you want to change yours too?
Yeah, just.
Yeah, I just have
$5.
$3 up to 8 pages and then $5 for 8 to 8 pages plus. We don't have a lot of faxes. We have 2 people that come in periodically, probably every quarter or every 6 months, that fax things to a medical provider for reimbursement. And so I know for us, the $3 up to 8 pages would probably be good, and then $5 for 8 pages plus. So you want to just do $5?
$5 for a police report. Yeah.
Okay, so $5.
And then if you want to add in there, because we do with the digital videos as well,
Mhm.
you can add a police video in there for $20 as well. just to keep it uniform.
Video.
Yep.
Okay. And we're still at, the administrative fee is 10%. The only one we don't charge 10% is for Tona Hartling, or at 3%. This is negotiated with them. And the assessment letters as for the special assessments that we do on houses and properties in the village and next one. So the rest of that stuff on there was stuff liquor licenses is all set already with state. So those were the ones that we wanted to change. This would have to be done by resolution at the board. So if you guys are fine with that, I guess we'd be looking for a recommendation to bring to board.
I'll make the best recommendation to take it to the whole board.
I'll second it.
Motion by Kelly, second by Zuliger, to make the recommendation on this municipal fee schedule changes, bring this to the board. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Discussion and possible recommendation on John Deere tractor loader repairs.
This is from municipal operations. Jesse is not here, but if you look in his report, the tractor was picked up by Brooks Tractor out of Green Bay. There was a problem with the transmission. He did get an estimate to fix the tractor. That is the only tractor loader we have, and the estimate is $14,000. It is at their location now. He is looking for approval to fix it. That he's gonna have to come on cash on hand or emergency funds, but we really don't have a lot of options. For everything. It is an older piece of equipment, and it's not scheduled to be replaced till 2028. So, correct. I do not, I didn't look that up. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the backhoe. That's the tractor loader backhoe. I know they were having problems with it already a month or two ago, and
He doesn't have a year.
yeah, and I'd have to look it up, I'm not sure.
Well, it should say year in. Like,
I think we got it when that
When it
old building
burned.
burned down.
I
Because
think
I think
so.
when we got it,
And that was.
you're making me feel old now. It was
07?
Yeah, it was a while ago.
07, I wanna say,
well,
07, 09, somewhere in there.
probably not replaced it till 2028, and if we know the price of the new,
Oh yeah, a new one you're talking, yeah, it's not gonna be cheap.
No.
and that you can't do, with municipal, we can't, because it's not part of the water, so. can't.
I mean, I don't know how, it's gonna be equipment fund, which there's not a lot of funds in there. I guess I'm not sure he's looking to fix it, with cash on hand. I don't know if there's any way we could split that out as far as doing anything out of water sewer. Sometimes we've split it with water sewer and then general fund. That would be something, at board, he could address which fund will actually come out of. But I think he's looking for recommendation to bring this to board for the May meeting. And I guess if you wanna make the motion for him to specify which account it's coming out of, we could put that in.
I think that's the next step.
Cause I know, I thought about that too, cause I'm not sure where he's thinking, he's got it coming out of cash on hand, but there, in some of the purchases we have done where we've pulled money because it is used for septic, or for sewer and water. So there is the chance we could pull water out of those proprietary funds too. Most likely, we usually pull it out of equipment, but I mean, that's something I can ask him where he's thinking to pull it out of, and that would be something he could address at that board meeting.
I'll make the motion to take the full board with the finding out where the money's coming from first.
I'll second it.
Motion by Kelly, second by Hallenstein, to recommend the John Deere tractor loader repairs to the board. and to have Jesse check, see where we can get the money from to repair it. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. H, unfinished business. Discussion of possible recommendation on village website redesign.
You guys should all have handouts on your counter there on the desk. I did send you guys an email too. I talked to Tim through email, that I received his, new design. You should have a link in the email I sent you. If not, it is on the paper that you have in front of you. I had told him that I was sharing it all with you. I've looked at it. It is a nice design. I did send you a picture of it too, or printed out a picture. I don't have the link. I explained to him that Jesse is gone, and since this is kind of Jesse's initiative, I don't have Jesse's laptop, which would have the other vendors that we were looking at, links that we looked at a couple meetings, or last meeting, to compare for you guys to look at. So I had explained to Tim that it may need to be pushed to our next meeting because I don't know what, I don't have the links for the Rankin and for Town Web for you guys to review here. Because those are, Jesse has that stuff, I don't. But in this email, he has included his link, which, like I said, I emailed to you guys yesterday. I would suggest looking at it. He has a lot of stuff built in it already. It's not complete because he did, what he could with it, but there are some things that are already functioning. He's gave us a price in here. We'll be looking at about $800 to upgrade. He also has included, that larger sheet is some data that he can pull from the website on the back end. He also has included the things that he's changed, this bulleted thing, bulleted points of items that he's included in the new website, which is also in that email that I forwarded to you guys yesterday. So he said if you have questions to let him know, or let me know, and he can get that back. He can get answers back to the questions you have. But in here is a two-sided stuff. Some of this is from 2006 to 2023. The more recent data is from 2016 to 23. He's saying some of it's a little skewed in that it's saying our biggest users out of Chicago, which he said is probably not exactly right, but he said some of the networks pull from like a Chicago base. So he's thinking that might be why it's pulling from there. But I also included in your packets the original quotes from Town Web and Rankin Design. So as you can see, most like Rankin and Linkability are fairly close as far as pricing, very comparable. Town Web, like I said, they're on the high end. But when Jesse does get back, I can ask him if he can forward those links to you for those other two so that you guys can look at those and compare how those websites.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't get a chance to look at the website.
Yeah, I just sent it yesterday afternoon, so.
That's what he has in there now.
I mean, I think it looks nice. It does a lot of different things than what we currently have. So
So the pricing will be the same?
it's
Or
pretty
similar?
comparable. Like I said, he's saying about $800 to upgrade to the new site based on the numbers of pages in the current site, with the understanding that we continue our typical maintenance agreement. So our typical maintenance agreement right now is $100 a month with 10 hours a month of maintenance, which we don't have that much. I mean, basically right now it's uploading the minutes from the meeting, any updates we have for new news, putting the agendas and things like that on there. I mean, it's usually pretty much a PDF type of thing that he's putting out there. So I don't think there's a lot of stuff. I mean, that's a normal maintenance stuff. So, that's pretty typical. So we're spending $1,200 a year is our normal contract with Tim. And so he's saying on top of that, it'd be 800. So that's very comparable to what Rankin Designs was, the one that you guys were gonna go with. They were, I think that was 800 to do the redesign the first year. And then the 1,200 for the maintenance, so that was the 2,000, so we'd be looking at about the same, for linkability. And then the $1,200 for the web maintenance a year. So it's very much the same thing. You know, depending on if we would add other widgets and things like that, I don't know what you all are looking at. He's already added on this new site. I just printed out, I think, the first page, but I know down further, he's already kind of added a link for the 501(c), and some of that, which he kind of describes in this bulletin.
Yeah, I pulled it up. He's got quite a few things in here.
Yeah.
How is it for being used on a phone?
Well, it looks, I mean, pretty clear.
Yeah. So like I said, I
Mm.
can have Jesse send you the other links. Like I said, I don't have access to them because they're on his computer, so
Right.
like I said, I didn't think about that before he left. So I don't know how you guys want to handle it, if you want to make a motion, move it to the next meeting, and have him send you those other 2 links so that you guys can look at that, or how you want to handle it.
So those other 2 links from the other person, those are, active, I mean, they,
Yeah, it would be same thing as like Tim sent me. It was like a link that we could see how they kind of function. I don't remember Town Web's how theirs was, or if it was just more of a demonstration. I don't know.
I think it was more of
I think it was more of a
So
demo.
they did make a village of Bonduel.
Rankins did. Town Web was more of a demo. That we would, different types that you could throw in there. I don't think they did one that was specific to us, but Rankins was. So, and I don't have either one of those. Because we sat with Town Web and they had like a demo. So, but they have a link for a demo. So, like I said, I don't have those because like I said, Jesse has those. So like I said, I don't know how you guys want to handle it.
Probably. You think we should just go to that meeting?
I didn't look at the new.
Yeah, and like I said, and Tim sent me an email today, and because I told him I got them and that they looked good and all that kind of stuff, and he just said if you guys had questions, you know, like I said, it's not complete, so some things may not work, but
Right.
a lot of
Just to
it,
get the gist of it.
get the gist of it, and a lot of stuff did already work, so
I think that's really all we need to do is be able to play with them and compare.
compare and see what you like or don't like, and he said that he can modify things too, so.
Yeah.
So I guess, I don't know how you guys wanna, if you wanna make a motion to move it to the next meeting,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to move it to the next meeting, next cow meeting.
I'll second it.
Motion by Hottenstein, second by Zuliger to move the village website recommendation to the next call. Is there any discussions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion approved. Discussion of possible recommendation on village personnel policy updates.
this is one that I sent to Bill, he has had it since August 22nd of last year. I sent him an email on the few things that he still has that we're waiting for him to finish up. This is one of the things he has. Have not heard anything back. So,
Hoping to move it to the next, make a motion to move the personnel policy updates to the next meeting.
Second.
Motion by Hottenstein, second by Kelly to move the personal policy updates to the next call meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carried. Discussion and possible recommendation on fire department, fire commission reorganization.
this is on our agenda. I would suggest that, now that the fire commission is back meeting, I think this is something they need to handle. This is really their department and they should be handling the reorg and looking at their documents. So I would say that make a motion to remove this and have the fire commission and fire department deal with their bylaws and all their changes.
I'll make a motion to have the fire department and fire commission reorganization take hold on that, and that they deal with their bylaws and get it off our agenda for the board.
Motion by Zuliger, second by Stashik. To have recommend that the fire department, fire commission, reorganization handle the policies, department policies, stuff themselves. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion approved. Discussion and possible recommendation on future staffing of the police department.
So this has been talked about for a long time. I am now in a situation where I have an officer who hasn't worked since January out here because we now have a full-time job and he's getting overtime to work his full-time job. So I don't know how long he's gonna be out here anymore. I have another officer that's going out on medical leave, and that leaves me with 3 that are active and actually doing stuff. So I'm looking for a direction sooner than later on what y'all want to do, because I have festivals coming up. I have, things that I have to staff. And right now I'm starting to depend on other agencies just to cover the bare minimums. And
Can we have like cost breakdowns of what it would cost if we were to go with like full-time, things like that?
a full-time officer, when we ran it for the school district, I think was about $140,000 a year for that, 130, 140, somewhere in there, with pay, benefits, vacation, all of that stuff that goes in there.
I think that was also set within Kenny about 60%, wasn't it?
No, that's the total cost. So our cost would have been half of that, which would have been 70-some thousand.
Yeah.
We don't have the money for 70-some thousand.
Right.
So where we're gonna come up with the money for that 100-some thousand, I have no idea.
Yeah, 'cause
I
the
know-
budget right now for part-time is 50.
Yeah, our total operating budget for the police department is 140-some thousand.
Yeah.
So you could hire an officer and hope they don't have to drive anywhere or use any gas or any paper, or, it's what the budget is, it's not feasible. So I don't know what you want to do. If you want to start putting money towards that investment in the future, that's fine. But I've been getting a lot of feedback, and it's been negative feedback lately. I had a guy come and yell at me for 25 minutes the other day, standing in the rain, about how people are traveling at 60+ miles an hour on North Cecil Street. I said, okay, well, I put a radar board out there and the numbers don't match what you're telling me. I said, it's 32 to 36 is normally the speed through there. That wasn't good enough. And then when he got done on that 10-minute tirade, then we went on South Cecil Street. And then we went on to the idiots that are on 29 and then the school zones. And I said, okay, I have one officer and you've told me 5 places you want that officer to be. Where do I put him? And he said, he couldn't tell me. And I mean, I'm inundated on my end between background checks, investigations, things that are coming up that I'm stuck doing that have to get done. When the Department of Justice says, hey, I need to know this information about somebody, it's not something I can say, yeah, give me a week or two, I'll call you. There's stuff that we have to keep going on. And it's pulling me off of the road, which I explained to you last year. Because when my hours got cut, I said, then I'm not going to have time to be out on the road. I have to focus more on this. I'm focusing on that, and I don't have people working the road. Now, coming up in June, I have an officer that's going off on medical leave. And they're going to be out for months, literally months. That is going to take us down to 2 active officers. So I'm ripping my hair out going, okay, June is coming up fast. 4th of July is coming up really quick. And I don't know what to do because you told me about hiring experienced officers. I had a meeting with an officer. He's retiring in a couple months. I said, hey, are you interested? If I can get you in. He said, what are you paying? I said, well, it starts around 20, and it goes up, He's like, what would you hire a new officer at? And I said, well, a new officer, I think we talked about 24 to 28 was kind of the range we had talked about. It's on the low end of things, but, it's a starting point. He's like, why would I come out and work for less than what you're paying a full-time officer for? I'm not getting benefits. I don't get insurance. He said, I could go start at McDonald's and make $15 an hour. And you want me to, and he's right. This is the situation we're in, is we need to either step up our pay for the part-timers and stay on that route. We need to start putting money away for, I don't know what you want to do. But it's coming to a point where we need to make a decision because it's, like I said, 4th of July is going to be here in 2 blinks of an eye. And I don't know what to do.
And even on 4th of July, we're never gonna get somebody trained by them.
Never. But at least that gives me hope for the corn roast and founder, I'm looking,
Other things that are going
if
on.
I have to, spit and glue a holiday together, it's on a Wednesday or Thursday. I mean, I think
Tuesday,
Lord-
I think.
Lord willing will be okay because it's the middle of the week this year.
Right.
But I can't keep doing this. I mean, it's killing me because like I said, I know what the citizens are asking for and I can't provide them the service because I don't have the staffing. And it stinks.
Yeah, they're also asking for taxes to stay the same, and unfortunately, that's what keeps us where we're not getting as much in. So
I understand. I've been here,
it's a
For a
never-ending
long time.
cycle. So-
but I don't know what the answer is, but we need to come up with something because I don't know how long I can keep spitting gluing this stuff together. The school calls, we need an officer for prom, we need an officer for this, we want an officer, and eventually I'm gonna start saying no. And now something happens at the prom and we didn't have an officer, I'm gonna feel terrible. So I don't know what to do. And now I put this officer at the prom, that's gonna pull 6 hours of patrol time away. So I'm stuck in a point where it's giving me a lot more gray hair than I had when I started here. So I'm just looking for a direction and I need it sooner than later because if you want to move towards a full time, that's fine. Okay, let's do that. We got to figure out where the funds are going to come from, get advertising, this is a process that we have to get going at. If you want more part-time officers, okay, we have to it's a process. We got to get going on this though, because if we push this off for another 2 months, now I'm looking at maybe getting an officer on by January and the summer season is gone, here and gone. And everybody knows what traffic is in the summer here.
Right.
So like I said, I'm stuck in a catch-22. So I'm looking for some direction and some help from you guys as far as what you want done.
What are you guys thinking?
I mean, we discussed in public safety, I don't know how many times at length,
It's the same conversation constantly.
Well, right, because, and
then we tried
And we
to
don't
get
know
a
what
full-time person in there, and then we didn't have enough money to do that, and then we went back to the full part-time.
Right.
It's just a vicious circle.
and then we get some part-time in, and then we
They
lose
get
some
hired away.
part-time, and
Correct. Well, and I can't fault, so Drake Ferrianchik is the officer we lost to a full-time job. His starting pay is $28 an hour where he's working. So for him to be at time and a half, 28 times, 1.5 times, or on a holiday, the 4th of July, he gets double time. So don't make $56 an hour, come out here for 20. What would you do?
Well, we all know the answer to that,
Without a doubt.
but I mean,
But we also have to remember, we went down to a part-time department too, we can't run part-time department like full-time department.
And it hasn't been, trust me, it hasn't been.
Right.
But like I said, I'm pulling my hair out because these things keep coming up. We need this, we need that, we want this, we want that. Y100 is having a thing at a bar. We need an officer that was a 2-day notice thing, trying to get people to scramble, flip schedule, it gets ridiculous. And then don't put an officer on and something happens, I'm gonna feel terrible because, we didn't have the staffing, I'm sorry.
Why can't we have Shawano County or something like that go to our prom?
That's what I'm wondering, like, one of Bonduel's officers has to sit there the whole time,
That's what they requested,
the school day.
yes. As a matter of fact, the school resource officer texted me this morning confirming that we had that covered. So like I said, it's one of these things where,
Can't we have check with Shawano County?
but you're talking about a prom. I'm talking about 4th of July.
I know, I'm just trying to solve
Saying this one
problems.
yeah.
We gotta start somewhere, and that was the one that's coming right now, is that. Can we also, because I know Shawano County supposedly is supposed to back us up, because we are a part-time.
But again, the east car handles from Shawano out to Pulaski, up all the way to the Oconto County line, and all the way down south out of Gaming. That's one deputy covering that area, which is a ridiculous amount of area for anyone to be proactive, efficient in. It's horrible. And the sheriff's department's running short staffed. So to say, hey, we need a couple cars for this, they're gonna look at me and say, yeah, probably not. I may be able to get away with 4th of July because a school resource officer comes onto the street, so I have this spare car if somebody didn't take a vacation. You know, and again, it's hard for me to do our schedule, let alone worry about their schedule and their, you know, it's
But
getting
we
to be
have
a-
to start to utilize that if we're gonna stay a part-time.
Yeah,
That's
they
just how it
count on
is.
us for mutual aid,
Yeah.
so I think that should be a two-way street.
But we cover 8 hours a day here, okay? Around 8 hours a day is what you get for coverage from us. They're covering the other 16. They're covering 2/3 of the time, or you know what I mean?
And Fourth of July, we still have two chase troopers, correct?
If they're available.
If they're available.
Because we had one year where a crash happened on the detour route that took our squad out of town. And then, well, 4 or 5 years ago, we had one that ended up arresting a drunk driver at 8 o'clock in the morning. And that wiped out that trooper. So yes, I do have 2 requested. I was confirmed to get 2.
Yeah.
But again, now what if something happens? I always have to look at the what if, you know, I have to look at covering the village. Last year during the parade, when the parade started, about 10 minutes into the parade, we had a fight in progress over on East Green Bay Street. We had a domestic at the Dollar General, and we had somebody get ejected off a horse on West Green Bay Street. I had 1 car doing calls. So do you go to a fight in progress with 8 people fighting? Do you go to a domestic where somebody's getting, you know, where are we putting these people? So this is what I have to staff for and be prepared for this to happen. And last year we were at a more full contingent than we are this year, which is why this year I'm really nervous.
But isn't that, okay, so if, say all this stuff starts to happen and we only have 2 officers, so if people call 911 or something for a police officer, nobody's gonna show up, Shawano County won't pick.
They will wait until we have somebody available.
Depending on what kind of call.
Correct. Well, even if it's an emergent call, if we already have 2 people with arrests, I mean,
One
they have to wait.
something, you're gonna have wait.
Yep.
So if we went to a full-time, so if we went to a full-time department, how is that gonna change the issues that you're having right now?
A full-time department gives you the availability to schedule that officer as you need. But again, you're going to get 8 hours of coverage 5 days a week versus 8 hours, you know, you're gonna have less coverage. But that gives you the availability to say, look, I need you to work the 4th of July. I need you to work this day. If they ask for a vacation, I don't know what you do at that point because it's a critical need day. Do you allow them to have a vacation day on the 4th of July? It's their right. I mean, if someone from DPW wants off a day, they get it. So what do we do
Class D requires all officers to be there for Polka Day weekend.
for the parade? Yeah. Yep. But again, it's one of these things where when you have a full-time department, it gives you that availability. You're going to get less coverage than what you're getting now. It's just going to happen.
Right.
You get less coverage with the full-time department and it's.
Because you got one guy working 40 hours. And if you take that
That's
pool of
what I'm
money, if you take that pool of money, okay, and we're gonna take the pool and shift it from all the guys working part-time to the full-time, and you're gonna wipe out this other pool here to next to nothing, right? Because it's gonna happen.
Right.
You're gonna have one guy working 40 hours versus 4 people covering 40 or 50 hours in a week. You know what I mean? So, and if you only have this one officer, now that officer is also going to be saddled with the reports of the state, all the follow-up, you know, they're going to not be on the road as much as you want them either. So you're going to catch 22, whatever you do.
Well,
And-
and that's what we've discussed for how
At
long
length,
too,
many,
Yep.
for years.
because we don't have the right answer for it. And if we make one decision, we know other people aren't gonna agree with that one decision.
And we've checked with other municipalities
Correct.
and
We've
they've
done the
got,
background
there's the
on it.
ones that have the one officer and they get what they get.
Right.
We've
Correct.
got the ones
Look
that
at
don't have
Cecil.
any.
Yeah,
Cecil
Cecil
has nothing.
Has nothing.
And
Not
they
well
have-
covered.
They
But
seem
Cecil
to have
Washington-
quite a few sheriff's deputies on Friday, Saturday.
They're paying their deputies overtime contracting with the sheriff's department.
Right, that was
And-
that fee that they.
And now you're looking at going from paying an officer here $20-some an hour to paying $70-some an hour for a sheriff's deputy to be here.
And Cecil only gets X amount of hours.
Yep.
They only
Whatever they
pay for
contract
like
for.
3 or 4 hours a month.
Yep.
And Wittenberg used to do 40 a month, but I don't think they do any now.
Ho Chunk still is a big,
Yeah, but,
they still do it up at the
yeah,
casino there.
Wittenberg used to do 40 a month,
But you can, who
But
can
then they
afford
don't
80
do
bucks an hour to pay for a cop?
and then if you wanna get a deputy just for us, it was what, that was when Beaver was, it was 160,000 a year.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a car yet.
And
No,
you-
that was us providing the car and
Yep.
equipment and everything.
Right.
And that was for one guy, 40 hours a week, 160 just for his wage and.
But that was if the overtime was filled with it.
Correct. Yeah.
So if nobody wants the overtime.
The shift
those
stays
hours don't
open,
get filled.
you still pay for it though.
Right.
So this is the conundrum that we've been battling with, what, 2 years?
Oh, at least.
2 years?
At least.
But it's
Because
to the
we
point.
ran numbers, we
Yep,
ran.
I've run the numbers so much, I close my eyes and it's not even budget time, I can see numbers.
Yeah, and I
But-
don't know what the answer,
Like I said,
talked
we're to a critical point where I need to do something here because it's, I want people that come into our community to be safe. I want our residents to be
Well,
safe.
we all want that.
So it's a matter of how do we accomplish that the best?
The downfall with hiring more part-time officers, if say, in a year, we decide to go to a full-time officer, okay, our part-time officers, they don't have jobs. You get into a sticky situation with,
Well, ideally, hopefully you have a good part-time officer that you could say, hey, we're hiring full-time, you interested, come on board,
right,
that would be awesome. That
but
would
what do you
be,
do with the rest of the officers?
exactly.
I mean, you can't terminate them,
No, well, they're, the thing is, they're not guaranteed hours as part-time.
okay?
I'm not even guaranteed hours as part-time.
So we wouldn't have to worry about police commission.
Correct.
if
Because
that's
you're not gonna terminate anyone, they're gonna stay in the reserve pool, so that would be a moot point. I mean, is it right to do by the employees? Probably not.
You just don't schedule them.
Well,
Didn't we have
is
part-time
it
when we
also
had
right for us
full-time?
to pay and train them and outfit them and then leave to another place?
Yeah, when we had full-time.
How do I prevent that from
Well,
happening?
I get that.
So many
I mean, I think we may have to look at it another way with a contract, employment contract. If you're gonna go through the training, us invest this money in you.
Oh, no, we have that with our new employees. Since I took over here, if they leave and within a certain number of months, they have to pay back 75%. If it's over a year, then it's 50%. Over 2 years, then they owe us 25% back. That's still there.
Yeah, that's.
That I still have with everybody.
Okay.
And
I didn't
so-
know if we got
So
to
we're getting some of the money back.
What
Correct.
Brenda asked was when, okay,
I'm
so like
sorry.
when Tony was here, Tony was full-time. So Tony worked 40 hours a week, and he was only allowed, at that time, 10 hours of overtime a year. And so if he went over the 10 hours, he had to get the president's approval. And so that limited him. But then what he would do is, so like when there was like, say, the 4th of July, he flexed his hours. So if he worked, would say, a 12-hour, 15-hour day on the 4th, then let's say he took off Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever day that
Different
week.
days, but-
Right, he would flex his hours, or if he needed to work for, let's say, the bar stool thing or whatever, he'd flex his hours. He worked whatever to make it work. But then what he had was a budget, so let's say his budget was, he made $60,000 a year or whatever it was, and we paid him $80,000 with benefits. He had $20,000 for part-timers. When he hit that $20,000 that year for part-timers, that was it. The rest of the year, he had to cover himself. So he only had, and I think it was $20,000.
20 or 25.
I don't even think it was, I think it was 20. So he had that to work the part-timers, which was very minimal, but that's all he could work. And that's where he filled in at nights, because he pretty much worked mostly the days. But he did work some nights to help cover when there was issues, let's say in the parks or whatever, or if there was prom or things like that. But we didn't have a lot of part-timers either then. Nobody really wanted to work, a lot of the part-time hours. But it was a lot tighter on the hours. We didn't have a lot of coverage on holidays, because it was just Tony as the full-timer. I don't know what it was with, we had Cheney, but, like I said, with Tony, it was pretty strict on what hours he did work.
Cheney was considered right.
Yeah, like
And
I
it was
said,
different too. Cheney was salary. They changed the rules when Tony was here. He went to hourly. So that's a different thing too, because that all changed with the rules.
you have to have 80% of your day or something has to be administrative function to be
Well,
salary.
and you have to have
versus,
so many
you know.
reports in order to be salary. They changed all that, the rulings on all that when
Who changed
Tony
the
was here.
rules on
The state did.
State,
Oh,
Right, because they changed it because I could say, I'm gonna pay you salary. I'm gonna pay you $40,000 salary and get away with it. So people were paying everybody salaries. Well, really, should you be salary? That was an easy way to get you to work a lot of hours and just pay you the minimum. So they changed a lot of it, and you had to have actual reports, and you had to get paid a certain amount if you were salary. So with that, you have to have X amount of reports, and Tony only had part-time people, so there wasn't enough bodies to equal enough people to be full-time and have salary. People. Correct.
Mhm.
Right, so he only had, let's say, 1.5 employees with the part-timers, because there was only like 3 part-timers. He needed like 2 or 3 full-time people, and he only had like 1.5 with part-time. So it wasn't enough to pay him salary, so we had to pay him hourly. With Cheney, the rules were different then. We could do salary.
but yeah, if there's any other suggestions, I mean,
I guess if we were gonna do part-time again, I mean, I know you need help.
well, that's just it. You have to remember that this is in addition to me working my full-time job. I'm coming out here, okay?
and so with the other officers also.
Well, for some of them, yes.
Yeah, they all,
Without a doubt.
yeah, they all have full-time.
Allison does.
Allison doesn't, but the rest, she's the one that's gonna be gone.
What's that?
Jim doesn't either.
Yeah, he does. You're
And
for the
he's got
state.
full-time for the state.
Really?
He re-signed his contract.
Yep, he signed on for another 3 years.
Yeah.
So,
And he's
like I said,
full-time.
I'm getting to a point where, I mean, Jim has mentioned about, another couple of year or two, I'm out of here, I'm gonna retire and
And you're only getting a day or two out of him anyway,
Yeah,
usually.
and
So,
it's-
so that's the thing.
it's difficult. But either I need to have a pool of part-time officers that I can pull from and say, hey, okay, there's 8 of us now, and we can maybe, I need coverage this day. I got 8 people to call versus 2. I don't know what the answer is, but realize that if we do the 8-person thing, you got to play for ballistic vests. I have to train all these people.
Can't we get them all on the same side?
I wish. Cookie cutter cops.
Right.
Yeah.
But like I said,
I have a question.
Yep.
A lot of times, these other officers, they're police officers somewhere else. So their bulletproof vests can't be used somewhere else.
we can do a contract with, would involve us, we have to sign a contract with them saying, okay, if you use your duty gun, okay, and it's involved in a shooting here in Bonduel, because your gun is now evidence, we have to take care of replacing that gun. We have to take care of replacing your vest. We're responsible if you're on duty, you blow out your uniform pant, whatever it is, we're responsible for all that because it happened here, okay? So there is something like that that does happen, but again, some departments, I know the chief from Clintonville just told his cops, look, you can work other jobs, that's fine. If something happens to you, you're on your own. We're not covering you under medical disability, you're gonna be using your vacation time, and it's making his cops stay in his department to fill their shifts.
I'm just trying to.
No,
come up with
and without a
other
doubt,
ideas.
and this is stuff that I've gone over in my head, I've gone to these chief conferences, how are you doing this? How are you doing this? How are you doing this? The only success I've seen, if you wanna stay part-time, is to get the wages up to where an officer says, hey, I'm gonna retire and I'm gonna go work and make some good bucks over in Bonduel. Because they're not getting health insurance, they're not getting vacation, they're not getting sick. The only thing they're working for out here is cash. And $20 an hour, starting wage at McDonald's is 15. There's a little bit more responsibility here. So
Well, wages everywhere else have gone crazy.
crazy.
That's like,
And
people
it's,
complain about groceries. Well,
Yep.
it's because you're paying a kid $15 an hour to,
but like I
stock
said,
the shelves,
that $15 an hour to stock a shelf,
yeah,
why would I want to stand on the side of Highway 29 and hope a car doesn't hit me
I know.
versus,
Well, maybe we need to revisit our pay.
that That's the only success I've seen. If you want to do part-time, is to jack the pay up where it's so appealing. I know one of the towns north in I can't remember if it's Falls or Gillette. They're paying their part-time guys right around $30 an hour. And it sounds ridiculous, but when you think about it, if you're paying a full-time officer 24 plus all the benefits, you're actually paying more than that probably for their wages anyway. And they're bringing with them 20 years of experience or 50 or whatever experience they have. But you got to make it tempting for these guys to come out if you want experience.
What
If
can
you
we
want-
afford?
Well, that's just it. And what I told them last year,
Yeah, well,
I said, give me a budget number, okay, and I'll do just like Tony did. We'll work within that budget for the year. And if we start to run December, we start to get low or whatever, we'll cut back on coverage in the middle of winter. You know, we'll cut where we have to cut on coverage. But during the summer, that gives me the availability to get people in. Because I hate training new people, okay, and then having them get offered the next job that comes up because, hey, now you're trained, you've got experience, and, you know, we can hire you. And I cannot fault them for leaving to make, you know, more money at a full-time job plus benefits plus, you know, retirement and everything else that they get. I can't fault them for leaving. And this is the struggle that we have here.
Right, but every year, public safety is the first place that money gets taken away from.
Correct. And at
Every year.
the
That
very,
is the first place that we cut for our budget.
Yep.
So we can't continue to do that every single year and expect to have pay officers $35 an hour.
that's just like buying equipment. We got to stop cutting the equipment budget.
Right.
I mean, we're at a point with everything that we're doing that we got to stop cutting some of this stuff. And we're gonna make the citizens upset because we're gonna have to
Right.
raise taxes.
Taxes are gonna go up.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't want my taxes to go
No,
up
I don't want
either,
mine either, but
But I don't.
I want to be safe.
But exactly.
And I want
wanna be
the
safe.
the municipal operations to be able to dig a hole if they need to.
Right.
Yeah.
it's
I
the
know.
cost of doing business.
I know.
I mean, the cops are taxpayers just like you guys. I don't want to pay more for my health. You know, I get it. I 100% understand. But they have to 100% understand when you come to my office and say, I want this, I want this, I want this. And I go, how? How do I, you know, how do I do this?
Open your wallet, because that's the only way it's gonna work.
But like I said, if you're looking for experienced officers, which I would love to get cops in here that have 20 years on the road. They know what they're doing. I don't have to sit there and watch videos and read every single. I would love that. Nothing would make me happier than that, to get a bunch of experienced guys and gals out here that can come to work, that I know what they're, you know, like a Jim Hoffman who comes in, knows what he's doing. I can ask him to follow up if I'm getting overwhelmed, he can help me out with stuff. I would love to have an entire department like that. It's going to cost.
But what do we start with first? Do we say, okay, start getting that pool together of part-time officers at this point now?
Well, we gotta figure out
Or
where
do
the
we-
money to get out there.
Well,
Right.
then that's just it. Or do we start looking at the money? Because with him, I mean, with the events that go on in the village right now, you can't waste time either. And you have to post out. So what do you bring up first? You bring up the money and you figure that out first, or you start that pool?
I think you need to start that pool. You've got your budget this year.
I said, the budget is the
The
budget.
budget is the budget.
You can
Like
pay
you said,
someone
you work
$100
with,
an hour, I'll work within that budget,
you work
whatever
within
it
that
is.
budget, and I think you need
Please
to
don't pay
get the
them
word
$100
out
an hour,
there.
they'll be making 3 times what I'm making.
I mean, you need to get that pool going because we're looking, it's April.
Right.
It's May next week
But
and
again, okay, so I advertise now, because our starting is around $20 an hour. We're gonna get all new people applying. You're not gonna get, you know, experience applying. So I don't know what, you know,
I mean, I guess the thing is, do you have to put the dollar in there right now? Is that,
it's the pay scale, they
Is
want
that
the
there?
scale in there. And I guess I shouldn't say I hate it. When a green officer, a brand new officer comes in, some of them come in all full of energy and they want to go down and go, you know what, that's great. That's wonderful. But that same officer who becomes productive and does a good job is going to walk down the street to Pulaski for $30 an hour, start there, or to a Schwaben
So
where
you
you're
put
at
a
60.
range?
can you put
price
a range in there, like $20 to $30,
Yes,
depending
depending on
on skill?
experience.
And then that way, maybe the next meeting you guys can bring in the pay range, and it would be $20 to, let's say, $30, depending on
Experience.
experience, and
But-
at least get your pool of applicants coming in.
That would be wonderful. The problem I'm going to have is now I've got cops that are working, Jim,
That's
Right.
what
Who's
I
at
was just
20
gonna
something?
say. That's just what I was gonna
And,
say.
and now what do I do with him? Because it's not right for someone to come in starting making more than him.
They're doing that all over the place.
And how is that working for morale though? You know what I mean?
Right, it's
You don't
not.
have to tell me.
Not.
This is what I'm saying, is
It's
I
not.
wanna,
I just put, maybe put the range out there and then we have to revisit
We're gonna have to
every
put that on,
pay.
right, you're gonna have to look at that
Okay.
whole scale.
but
But
you
I
want
mean, you need to
20
get
to
an
30 for the, I don't know what you want for the range.
20 to 30, depending on,
And then you're gonna have
Yeah,
to look at that
experience.
scale and we're gonna have to bring that on and put
Yes.
that on this agenda.
And then look at
agenda.
giving the current officers raises.
Well, the one with experience.
Correct.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is, I have no trouble, okay, if somebody comes in with 30, 20 years of experience, and they're coming in the front door, and Allison has been here 6 months, I have no troubles paying that new person with all that experience more than what Allison is making,
right,
okay?
and she
This-
should understand that.
Correct. Flip that to I've got somebody coming in with 10 years of experience, we're gonna pay them more than what we're paying Jim. That's where I'm gonna have, you know what I mean?
Right, that's where
So-
anybody's gonna have an issue.
So
That's
this is
right.
where it's a tightrope we need to walk, okay? But like I said, tonight I was looking for a direction and it seems like part-time is the way you wanna go.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know what else,
We have to finish
Like you
off
said,
this year.
we've discussed this for,
years,
Years.
it's been years.
because it always comes up before budget, what are we gonna do? And that's why we brought it to the board last year, right before budget,
And the year before,
Mhm.
you know, to say, okay, so what are the village looking at? So, I don't know, I still don't have an answer.
I think you just need to get I think you need to get the word out there, we need to hire some people because it's April.
Yeah.
And realistically, even if you post it
But-
on,
I can talk to people, I know people that would come and work here, but it's a matter of what's the pay and realistically, what's that pay? So after the next meeting, if we get that settled in stone, I can talk to people and say, hey, look, we're offering, you know, if you come in with experience, we'll start you off at $25 an hour, you know, and we'll get you up to 30 within a couple of years, you know, or some, you know, dangle that
Yes.
carrot. That gives me something to do. If I'm gonna say, well, you could start at 20, you know, they're gonna look
so
at me
these
like,
people we were talking about that would possibly come here for that amount of money, we wouldn't even have to put an ad in.
I would still put an ad in because you wanna do this, everything is above board. You don't wanna be
No, no,
handing
no.
out.
I get that, but if you had an officer with 10 years' experience that you knew that walked in and applied for a position as a part-timer, that's not underhanded in any way, is it?
I feel like it is because I haven't given that, okay, someone who lives in town who wants to work here should have the same right as someone, just because I know them, shouldn't give them any advantage, okay?
I think you should still
We
post
should
it.
still post it.
yeah, you should still post it.
It's the right way to go.
Everything-
Like everybody
If
that-
they-
Right,
if they
but they'll
post it,
apply.
then they apply right away. That's not, you know what I mean?
But at least you would be able to say, hey, we're gonna post this,
Correct.
this is what they're
Yep.
hiring,
Yeah,
we're posting it.
So, and that brings up we had a candidate last time that we interviewed part-time that I have not done a background on, but he did interview in front of you guys and you said possibly you'd be interested in that individual. Do we want to do that? And because he's still on our list, okay, we still have a list that
Right.
that individual is on. Or do you want to post at this new rate, see what we get in, and then go? I don't know what you want to do.
He was pretty green,
He's very good.
yeah.
And like I said, the one thing I hate doing is teaching a cop how to be a cop.
Right.
It's nice when they come in and they already know what they're doing.
Courtesy wise, being that it's on
Our list.
our list,
I think
I
it would,
need to reach out to him, but also post it. Can we do both?
I think I would be okay with that, saying, hey, we're gonna post at this new rate.
Right.
You're automatically moved on to phase 2 or whatever of the interview process. You don't have to come in for the initial, we'll just
Right.
take you with the second one.
As long as there's no negative feedback from there to here.
From where to where.
I mean, from when we interviewed him at first
And we did.
to now, there's nothing in
He
between?
reached out to me, he said he was offered another part-time job as well and wanted to know what our status was, and that was 2.5 months ago. And I told him, I said, we're in the discussion phase, I don't, you know,
I
but
mean, I think courtesy wise, to talk to him, see if
Yep.
it's something that he's still interested in, but also posting it.
Yep.
right, because we're hoping to
Because
get somebody
we still
that would
need
be,
more than
more-
just one.
Right,
not
and
green.
with the recommendation that we move this to the board as a whole to make the decision,
For,
you could still reach out to him because he had been previously interviewed.
and like I said, I have no trouble, I'm not a fan of training new people because
Well, you don't have the time.
Well- I can only put in 3 days a week.
Right.
And, that's 3 days a week just devoted to that person. I still have your report to do. I have the state reports to do. I have I've got all my stuff to do. So,
And then when time for some audit use, then you have that.
that is actually my last policy to write in my book. And it's a 25-page policy.
So, I mean, we need a motion.
So what are we doing?
Make a motion to move it to the whole board to figure out a pay scale.
So don't advertise now. You want me to wait?
No,
No, I would say advertise.
I would say advertise now.
Can he advertise now?
So
Or I
are
thought we
you-
have to do it to the board, right?
So are you gonna move this to the board? Are you bringing a pay scale to the board? What do you bring to the board? Or are you?
Headaches, that's what I bring to the board.
A pay scale, put a pay scale in motion
Okay,
for new
Existing officers.
Part-time.
existing officers and part-time hires.
so you're gonna have something for the board meeting for May?
I'm not at that board meeting.
Okay.
But I will get something in writing to you guys.
Okay, so existing board, or for the board, you're gonna have existing officers.
Just a suggestion. You want 20 to 30 to be the range? Is that what you want the range to be?
Depending
Yeah, depending upon experience.
Yeah, so, yeah.
So we're gonna move this to the
And,
board,
okay.
and
What?
then
My-
you would be able to post after that board meeting? Or you wanna post?
I mean, I don't think, can you post with the wage range?
I have to have the low and the high wage range in the posting.
So
So
between 20 and 30,
would
We
put
haven't
us
approved
in
it
that
yet, though,
thing.
right?
Well, then,
They could approve, you could approve the posting and then move it to the board, and Eric would have the pay ranges defined by then and get us a copy of that for the meeting to approve
Sure.
at the board meeting.
Yep.
So that's the
That's the
motion.
motion.
I need someone to say that.
That motion is, we're moving it to the board with him placing the ad at 20 to 30 range and then him giving us a paperwork, how that pay range works out for experienced officers, part-time
And current officers.
and current officers.
I'll second it.
Good job.
Motion by
I'll say the whole
Kelly,
thing
second by Hockenstein. To move the recommendation of further staffing of the police department to the board with the new pay scale for existing and new officers. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion by Hottenstein, second by Kelly to adjourn. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Motion carried. Adjourned at 7:03 PM.